We begin with the RNC chairman's comments about the war on women. Susan Page is Washington bureau chief for USA Today, and Howard Fineman is the editorial director of the Huffington Post Media Group. He's also an MSNBC political analyst. Well, here it is. Today, RNC chair Reince Priebus was asked about his party's problems with female voters. Priebus used an interesting analogy to explain what was behind it. Let's watch.
If the Democrats said we had a war on caterpillars and every mainstream media outlet talked about the fact that Republicans have a war on caterpillars, then we'd have problems with caterpillars. I mean, the fact of the matter is it's a fiction.
Susan Page, it's all your fault. What brought you to this conclusion?
You know, it's I know that that the chairman didn't mean to compare women to caterpillars in an insulting way. He meant to compare, you know, the Democratic charge in an insulting way to insects. But a poor choice of words, I think he would acknowledge. It's very Etch-a-Sketch-like in that he's trying to make some other point, but the image is such that he just gets himself wrapped up in a whole new controversy.
Well, bugs aside, I mean, there's some substance that lies behind, you know, the charge that there's a gender gap. And the Democrats very quick to jump on the comments, Howard. Take a look at this tweet from Obama senior advisor David Axelrod, who said, from the Department of Clueless, RNC chair says GOP problems with women are contrived by the media. How significant an issue is this in the 2012 cycle? I don't mean caterpillars per se, but I mean the gender gap.
Oh, it's hugely significant, and Priebus was clueless, and I was emailing this afternoon with some of those same people at Obama headquarters, and one reason that they're pretty confident right now is the fact that there's at least an 18-point gender gap between President Obama and Mitt Romney and between the Democrats and the Republicans in the polling right now. 18 points. That's huge, and that's something that gives the Democrats and the Obama campaign confidence, and something they're going to try to build on, and something that comments like the Republican chairman's just make all that
Howard,
much worse.
I have that to which you refer. Look at these incredible numbers from a new USA Today Gallup poll out this week. Men and women in 12 key battleground states asked about the presidential race. There was a big gender gap. Among men, Barack Obama and Mitt Romney in a virtual tie. But look at this. Women support Obama over Romney by an 18-point margin. And, Susan, my hunch is that this is not a Romney-specific finding, that this is a GOP brand issue as much as anything else. What specifically do you think lies behind that data?
Well, I think we find men and women have different priorities. We asked men what their top priority was. They ranked the debt and deficit there. Women ranked health care. Women have a different view of the economy. Women are very concerned about the economy, to be sure. But it's women who are often dealing with health care, putting gas in the car, buying food at the grocery store, worried about sending their kids to college and affording the tuition. So, and we also found that the debate over contraception is not the sole driver of this, but it is one factor. We found 1 out of 4 women in this country say they were saying that issue extremely important to determining their vote. Now, other issues are more important, but that's a significant portion of women saying they're really paying attention to that debate.
Well, and here's the divide on the issues to which you refer. According to that recent survey in 12 swing states, men and women prioritize the issues that are important to them differently. Howard, take a look at this. For men, the most important issue, deficit reduction and the national debt. Gas ranks by second, followed by health care, international issues, unemployment. Switch over to women, however. Health care is the most important issue. Deficit reduction and the national debt ranks number 4. I recognize that birth control regulation comes in at number 6. I can't help but think that when some females were saying health care is my top priority, they were encompassing a whole host of, including female-oriented medical issues.
No, it's because women are the ones who have to worry for the most part about the health care of their families. And that is number 1. And if I can slice it a little further, in talking to Democrats who are working on key swing constituencies like the Hispanic vote, which is going to be absolutely crucial, just as this whole gender gap thing is, for Hispanics, and especially Hispanic women, health care is over the top the most important issue, to the point of like 60, 70, 80%. And there are going to be advertisements by the Democrats in Spanish appealing to Hispanic women about this health care issue, trying to say that the Democrats are the party that wanted reform, that wanted to spread health care costs, that wanted to make health care available to all of your families, to all of your kids, et cetera, and that government has a role in this. And that's going to be a consistent message for President Obama. It'll be very interesting to see what happens with the Supreme Court, how they rule on that. But however the Supreme Court rules, it's going to be key to the whole Democratic appeal all the way from now to Election Day.
Susan Page, is it the sort of a problem that Mitt Romney can solve with one decision, meaning his VP pick?
No. I don't think so. We know that there's traditionally a gender gap of some size. It's the time that women tend to be more Democratic than men, but it becomes very problematic for Republicans when it gets into double digits. You know, you can live with a gender gap of maybe 5 points, but when you get to 15 points or 18 points, that's when it becomes an issue that is going to defeat you at the polls. It is not something, I think, that for which there is one single bullet, not even the pick of a vice presidential running mate that can fix. It's a longer-term process, and that it's something they need to start working on now, and I'm sure they are.
All right, speaking of women, White House Press Secretary Jay Carney was asked today whether the president would weigh in on a hot-button topic. I can tell you it's hot on talk radio, whether women should be allowed to join the Augusta National Golf Club, the private club which hosts the Masters tournament now underway and has never had a female member. Here's how Carney responded.
The president's answer to this question is yes. He believes, his personal opinion is that women should be admitted.
Now, Mitt Romney was also asked to weigh in on the question of women and Augusta. He agreed with the president.
Well, of course. I'm not a member of Augusta. I just don't know that I would qualify. My golf game's not that good, but certainly, if I were a member and if I could run Augusta, which isn't likely to happen, but of course I'd have women in Augusta. Sure.
Susan, everything's relevant. You know, in a 24/7 news bubble with a campaign as we are now facing, everything, I think, is fair game, including this. Do you see this issue having legs in a presidential context, or because they loosely agreed, perhaps not?
You know, I think it goes to, I do think it has some, I think it's part of this whole debate about women. I would just note that I am the daughter of a member of, my mother is in the Kansas Golf Hall of Fame as a former state champion. And the idea that she can't be a member of Augusta, it seems ridiculous in the 21st century. Amy Walter, our friend from ABC, sent out a tweet suggesting that membership should be based on your handicap, not on your gender. And I think that makes a lot of sense to a lot of people.
Howard, I believe in the right of free association, but I got hosed by a country club once.
Well, I don't think, and I'm not much of a golfer, but I don't think it should be based on handicap. Therefore, but I think in the department of the clueless, I would put the people who run Augusta. If you have Mitt Romney, who sort of sounded like he wanted to become a member of Augusta, agreeing that women should be admitted, I think it's time for the people at Augusta to understand, especially when the CEO of IBM, which is a big sponsor of the Masters, and who is traditionally given membership, invited to membership in the Augusta Golf Club. That person happens to be a female right now, and she has not been invited to join Augusta. If I were she, I would pull the IBM sponsorship.
Well, what I notice is that the spokesman for Augusta very careful to say that they have no express prohibition. They've just never had a female member, and of course that begs the question: well, who exactly are you waiting for? You know, what does she look like, and what does she do for a living?
Well, I think if she's CEO of IBM, that'd probably be good enough. I think those guys need to wake up fast.
I can remember we went through this, Susan, a couple of years ago. In fact, by now, maybe a decade ago. And the culmination was that, if memory serves correct, they ran the Masters a couple of years with no commercials.
Yeah. Well, as you say, I don't know quite what they're waiting for, because isn't this a fight we've had and settled? I mean, I'm not sure who's...
I don't know if we settled it. Anyway, thank you, Susan Page. Thank you, Howard Fineman, as always.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Michael.